Greetings, family. I know it's been some time, and I know it's short notice, but I have to work tonight. And so I was just sitting here. This is actually me procrastinating um, because I actually had errands I needed to run. But instead of running errands, I was like, I'm just sitting here looking crazy. Why don't I go ahead and get up on here while I have a little time and offer you guys a read from Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy by Mary Daly. Because it's been a minute. I think it's been probably close to a week since the last time I read. And I'm trying to be disciplined, y'all, but let me tell you, I'm working a lot. Yesterday was the first day I took off. 7 days, 8 days, something like that. So anyway, I won't digress too long. My name is Cassandra Floyd. My name is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates. And I am continuing the read of Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy by Mary Daly. My ambition is still the same, though I've been slacking for a few days. My ambition is to finish this book before the new year. So there's 14 days left in the new year, 13 days left in the new year. I think we can do it. You feel me? I think we can do it. See, that's all that's left. So we're going to see. I'm going to read for an hour today and attempt to get back on what at least fakes to appear to be a schedule, a routine until we finish this book. Because again, my ambition is to maybe the first or second week of January to reinitiate the book club for this book. This book was very heady. It was extremely deep. It was extraordinarily visceral. Greetings from Nigeria. And so because it was so deep and so heady and so visceral, we're going to do a real radical deep dive evisceration book club of this book come January. So I would like to have this book I am going to have this book finished before January 1st. Greetings, Asia, everyone. Okay, so we're going to start. Those of you who've been following along, we are on page 308. We are at the bottom section on that page called Fairy Time and the Aviternity. Y'all know she be making up new words, so let's get it. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. So a Faye woman. So let me just do a little backtrack since it's been a few days, okay? Because I remember, I don't know if y'all remember me telling you the last reading that we did really gut punched me. It was crazy deep, crazy relevant. The last section that we read was called Faith, Hopping Hope, and Biophilic Bonding. But she talked a lot about the meaning of the word Faye, right? And I went into this diatribe telling you guys, and you're going to have to excuse me. It looks like I'm like rubbing my cleavage, but I got a freaking abdominal tattoo that is still itching like all hell. But she was talking about the meaning of the word Faye, and I told y'all my middle name is Faye, and how it came to be and all this stuff. So anyway, she's picking up from there. Greetings, B Charmer 69. So a Faye woman is aware of a kind of duration that sometimes has been called fairy time. Catherine Briggs explains this sense of duration. Quote, the early fairy specialist had a vivid sense of the relativity of time, founded perhaps on experiences of dream or trance, when a dream that covers several years may be experienced between rolling out of bed and landing on the floor. As a rule, however, time moves in the other direction, both in visits to fairyland and to other supernatural worlds. A dance of a few minutes takes a year and a day of common time. This is not always so, for nothing in folk tradition can be contained in an exact and logical system. End quote. Clearly, then, the fairy time is hardly clock time. It may be stretched or condensed, as anyone knows who has ever created anything and lived intensely. Faye, faithful women detect special significance in the fact that sometimes it is a broken taboo that precipitates entrance into fairy time. Women touching women, having broken the terrible taboo, have experienced radical changes in our sense of duration, which can be described by the metaphor of fairy time. Time, in the classical sense, is the measure of motion. Oh, wow, Asia Carlet. Oh, that's beautiful. Well, you need to go back and listen to the last reading that I did when I talked about the significance of the name Faye and the word Faye according to this book. Okay? Go back and watch that one. I think you'll really appreciate it. Faye, let's see, this broken taboo. Okay. Time in a classical sense is the measure of motion. A Fae woman has known emotion, the most intense internal movement of passion, and this has not been dichotomized from her external actions, which therefore are measured by emotion. Her relations to herself and to other women then have changed the measure of her being in the world. She lives on the boundary of patriarchal time. Briggs has shown that sometimes it has been singing, visions, and dreams that have stretched time into another dimension, but that journeys into another world or realm are still more likely to do so. It is precisely the breaking of the terrible taboo that makes possible the kinds of songs, dreams, visions, and especially journeys that stretch time into other dimensions. As the taboo breaking reader knows, it is not possible to break the total taboo simply by breaking a few rules. Oh shit. Listen. She says, as the taboo breaking reader knows, it is not possible to break the total taboo simply by breaking a few rules. Rather, this total taboo breaking implies deeper motivation, for it is many dimensional and includes singing, dreaming, visioning, and journeying in other modes and measures. Writing of the Fays or fairy ladies, Briggs notes that in Ireland and in Scotland, they sometimes were thought to be fallen angels, and that in Brittany, they were sometimes to be goddess-like. She also shows that the mythological origins of the French fays lie in the stories of the fates. In the medieval Arthurian romances, these came to England as fays or fairies. The English word fairy is also derived from the Latin fata, or goddess of fate. It is clear that just as fairies are symbolically connected with angels, they are also connected with the fates. Since the hoping of Fae women inevitably involves participation in forms of duration akin to fairy time, it is useful to consider further some implications of connections between what we might call fairy phenomena and traditional ideas about fallen angels and their duration. As the reader recalls, the fallen angels, according to the Christian theology, are those who, as the reader recalls, the fallen angels, according to Christian theology, are those who refused to surrender their natural autonomy to the Christian God and therefore were deprived of eternal happiness, consisting in the beatific vision of the divine essence. Oh, shit. Listen, as the reader recalls, y'all, the fallen angels according to the Christian theology, are those who refuse to surrender their natural autonomy to the Christian God and therefore were deprived of eternal happiness. Come on in. Oh, shit. Since furiously Faye women refuse such surrender of autonomy, knowing that it involves a most unbeatific fission, fracturing of our integrity, the fallen angels would appear to be important inspirers and allies. Oh my God. The tradition concerning the natural mode of duration of angels is therefore of some interest. Oh. Ooh. Ooh. Damn. Yo. She called the fallen angels inspirers and allies, baby. Christian theologians have described angels, good and bad, as beings outside of time, as men commonly experience time. On the other hand, they do not have the attribute of eternity, which implies absolute immutability or unchangeableness, and which is said to belong only to God. For angels are believed to be changeable in the sense that they make choices. Moreover, quote, they have changeableness of intelligence, of affections, and of places in their own degree. Therefore, these are measured by aviternity. I don't know what that means. Somebody Google it. Aviternity. Oh, she says what it means. Aviternity, which is a mean between eternity and time. A mean between eternity and time, end quote. Another way of putting this would be to say that the angels' changeableness in the realm of what were traditionally understood to be spiritual acts of intellect and of will. Their changes are therefore primarily active rather than simply passive. Clocks and watches would be pointless to them, since their acts are not measured in a quantitative sense. The quality and intensity of such spiritual activities is their measure. The kind of metaphoric leap that is required to feel at home with this sort of discourse about angels is so suggestive of the sort of leaps and hops involved in experiencing the beyond time of Faye women. For here, the important measure concerns quality and intensity of activities which involve mythic giant steps past the foreground. The movements of the count are metaphoric springs of consciousness and of behavior consistent with this consciousness. Metaphoric hops and leaps are hopeful, fateful acts that are myth breaking, breaking up old myths, bringing us to the realm of meta being. Oh my God. Bringing us to the realm of meta being. These metaphoric, oh my God. Oh. Oh. Yo. Okay. Shit. She said metaphoric hops and leaps are hopeful and fateful acts that are myth breaking, breaking up old myths, bringing us to the realms of meta being. These metaphoric hops can be likened to the participation in aviternity. They are naturally angelic. Through these, we do not simply become fallen, however. Fae women actively jump, hop, leap, hurl ourselves beyond the range of boring, beatific visions and other video games. We actively are our own fates. Oh my God. The biophilic bounding and bonding of fates. As fates, Fae women bound and bond biophilically with each other, and with the sun and moon and the tides and all the elements. Our time is relative to this ever-moving context. Thus, as fate, a Fae woman does. Oh my God! Thus, as fate, a Fae woman does not only participate in aviternity, for she is not only spiritual, rather, she is material and spiritual. Since the fates are the triple god, since the fates are the triple moon goddess, excuse me, I should have got water before I sat down. Since the fates are the triple moon goddess, the name fates suggests diversity as well as unity. Let me just tell you something. Yeah. I told y'all last week, I think that the next movie review I'm gonna do is of this movie I watched last week just on a whim that fucked me up. The movie was called Shazam, y'all. Never had any. I watched the second one first. Shazam, The Fury of the Gods. That shit fucked me up. Right? And so I was like, I got to do a movie review about this because, like, this shit is butt naked. They don't even have to hide it. They murder the triple goddess. So I'm reading this right here that about the fates, y'all, the FETES, y'all, women as fate itself, y'all. And in this movie, the triple goddess, the fates, are murdered. The triple goddess is murdered. The three fates are murdered in the movie Shazam, which is supposed to be all aha funny. I'm gonna have to do a review of this movie. For the moon, okay, so since the fates are the triple goddess, the name fates suggests diversity as well as unity. For the moon is a primal shapeshifter. As shapeshifters, women experience diversity and unity, not only among ourselves, but also within ourselves. As a Fae woman spins her fate, she, as fate, is affected and effected by her spinning. As she moves, her time changes. The measure of her time is moonstruck. Title: Her shifting of gynergy patterns shift. Her shifting of gynergy patterns shifts the sorry. Her shifting of gynergy patterns shifts the shape of time itself. Scientists claim that seismographs placed on the moon indicate that the most moonquakes are caused by tidal attraction and occur when the moon is closest to the earth. The moon's influence upon the tides then is in some way reciprocated. Peace of Basi, is reciprocated. The actions of women as fates and moon goddesses affecting the environment. Oh my God. Listen. The moon's influence upon the tides then is in some way reciprocated. The actions of women as fates, moon goddesses, affecting the environment are also in some ways reciprocated. A moon goddess moves in concordance with her surroundings so that the environment she creates affects her own creation. Oh my God! Clearly, the stamina spun by women as fates form complex patterns. The very word stamina is plural in construction. One archaic definition is, quote, the innate capacities formerly regarded as conditioning or governing the duration of life, end quote. It has come to mean strength or vigor of bodily constitution, capacity for standing fatigue, or resisting disease. It has also come to mean, quote, strength or courage of conviction, staying power, perseverance. Stamina then names the innate capacities that are the sources of both bodily and spiritual staying power. It suggests high quality of duration of life and points towards overcoming the dichotomy between physical and spiritual strength. The complexity of the stamina spun by the fates involves the intertwining of faith, hopping hope, and biophilic bonding. As Faye, a woman has unbounded powers of self transformation. Oh, of self transformation, for she is faithful to her own true being. As hopping and hoping, she makes the necessary quantum leaps and giant jumps to continue her transformation and shape shiftings. As biophilically bonding, she communicates her powers to others and in return receives hopping and leaping energy from them. God damn. Oh, the spinning of these intertwining threads then in the spinning of these intertwining threads then implies also the weaving of cords. A cord can be understood as a kind of rope, of course, and wise women do have a long and honorable tradition of knotting. To deeply hearing hags, however, cord happily blends with cord, so CORD and CHORD. The association between the association becomes explicit when one muses upon the meaning of chord. Quote, a combination of two or more tones sounded together, especially tones that blend harmoniously, end quote. Chord as a verb means to harmonize together. Accord. The word accord literally brings us to the heart of the matter, since it is derived from the Latin ad plus cor, meaning heart. At its heart, core, stamina is a chord and a harmony. Women acquiring stamina hear the harmony of the fates. Moreover, a woman who is faithful to the name fate, derived from the Latin fere, meaning to speak, oh my God, expresses her faith by naming and wording. Since that which she is naming is harmony, her wording itself will creatively participate in this harmony. Oh shit. She will hear and speak elemental sounds. Elemental sounding. The fates are associated with elemental sounds. Graves has written, quote, there is evidence that before the introduction of the modified Phoenician alphabet into Greece, an alphabet had existed there as a religious secret held by the priestesses of the moon. Oh, Io, or the three fates, Io, or the three fates, that it was closely. Okay, hold on. Let me reread that. There is evidence that before the introduction of the modified Phoenician alphabet into Greece, an alphabet had existed there as a religious secret held by the priestesses of the moon, Io, or the three fates. That it was closely linked with the calendar, and that its letters were represented not by written characters, but by twigs cut from different trees, typical of the year's sequent months. Yes, she is going off. End quote. Moreover, the fates were said. Moreover, the fates were said to have invented the 5 vowels of the first alphabet. It is impossible to think of all this as simply a visual matter, for clearly the visible signs represent sounds. The use of the twigs cut from different trees, rather than written letters, to signify basic sounds, suggest a sense of the elemental quality of these sounds, of their interconnectedness with the manifestations of wild nature, such as trees. In other words, it conveys a sense of harmony among apparently dissimilar elemental phenomenon. Oh my God, man. Oh my God. When we can be mindful of such elemental harmony, damn, we can be mindful of such elemental harmony when we think of the sounds of the tides in the edge of the sea. After describing visual phenomena associated with the tides, Rachel Carson writes, quote, even more directly, the tides address the sense of hearing, speaking a language of their own, distinct from the voice of the surf. The sound of the rising tide is heard most clearly on the shores removed from the swell of the open ocean. In the stillness of night, the strong waveless surge of the rising tide creates creates a confused tumult of water sounds, swashing and swirlings, and a continuous slapping against the rocky rim of the land. Sometimes there are undertones and murmurings and whisperings. Then suddenly all lesser sounds are obliterated by a torrential inpouring of water. End quote. Like the tides, elemental sounding women directly address the sense of hearing, speaking a language distinct from that of the foreground. The sounds of tidal women rising. Oh my fucking God. Oh shit, y'all. She is going in. Oh my God. Damn. Shit, I'ma need a minute. Oh my God. She said, like the tides, elemental sounding women directly address the sense of hearing, speaking a language distinct from that of the foreground. The sounds of tidal women rising are heard most clearly in removed places and in the stillness of the night. There is a tumult of women's sounds, not unlike the swashings and swirlings of the tide. Sometimes there are undertones and murmurings and whisperings. Then suddenly, all lesser sounds are obliterated by the torrential roaring of women. Whoo! Mm. Oh my God. Oh shit. Oh my God in heaven, child. Listen. Like the sounds of the tide, the sounds of roaring women elicit wonder. They are more like the sounds of questions than of answers. This is what keeps sounding women Faye, hopping, and biophilic. Elemental sounding women continually sound also in another sense, that is, to measure the depth of and to try to find out. Her refusal to accept tidy answers to her continual sounding gives a woman autonomy and authority. Woo! Lord, 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 y'all come on in the room. Damn. Damn. Ooh, child, child, child. Her refusal to accept tidy answers to her continual sounding gives a woman autonomy and authority. Yo, this is the authority of augurs, often perceived as ogres, whose augury is always an asking, whose soothsaying is really seeking. Such authoritative seeking is not a luxury, rather, it springs from necessity, the mother of our invention. the mother of our invention. Graves recounts the opinion of some that the fates are under the control of Zeus. Then he adds, quote, other holds, on the contrary, that Zeus himself is a subject to the fates. As the Pythian priestess once confessed in an oracle, because they are not his children, but parthenogenesis daughters, parthenogenesis, parthenogenesis, parthenogenous daughters of the great goddess necessity, again, whom not even the gods can contend, and who is called the strong fate. Oh, oh, oh my God. Elementally sounding augurs are the others, who being contrary, question the paternity of Zeus and recall necessity, our mother. Thus Zeus and all the alleged fathers have lost their authority and consequently cannot stop hopping, hoping, and harmonizing. A parthenogenous daughter has her own lineage. Oh my God, y'all. Damn. Listen, y'all. She said a parthenogenous daughter has her own lineage, focus, and finality. Her bonding is based on this autonomy, and her faith keeps her questioning those who would deny it. Her friendships are founded on this faith, and her Faye exuberance delimits her life lust. By her boundless seeking, she escapes the bounds of the father's fields and spheres of influence. Oh, the continual soundings of musing maenads and furious fates are works of deep passion. They are above all inspired by fire. The transcribing of our elemental sounds into readable signs requires pyroglyphic writing, comprising recognizable pictures and portrayals of pyromantic, passionate thought. Pyroglyphic writing will also be hydroglyphic, aeroglyphic, and geoglyphic. The discovering of such an elemental alphabet will not happen all at once. It will require macro mutations in ways of being. Confrontation with this subject brings us to the entrance of the third realm, which is the realm of metaphoric, of metamorphospheres. Woo! Of metamorphospheres. Okay? Now, we're in the next chapter, which is entitled The Third Realm, Metamorphospheres. This is chapter 9. Foreground to the third realm, breakthrough to metamorphospheres. Metamorphosis. This is the part where she gives us the two definitions. Metamorphosis, a change of physical form or substance, especially such a change brought about by or as if by supernatural means. The metamorphosis of men into animals. Webster's Third New International Dictionary of the English Language. Metamorphosis, the changes of physical, spiritual form or substance, especially such a change brought about by supernatural means. Metapatriarchal metamorphosis of tamed women into wild witches. Wikidictionary editors have observed that even the Oxford English Dictionary defines metamorphosis as the act or process of changing in form, shape, or substance, especially transformation by magic or witchcraft. Webster's First New Intergalactic Wikidictionary of the English Language. I've got to buy that book this week. Make a note. I got to buy that book this week. Women musing into metamorphospheres begin to glimpse the shapes of our ontological metamorphosis, which can be envisioned by belonging, befriending, and bewitching. Before we can move and mutate into these spheres, we must encounter in this foreground the reified caricatures of these movements. These mirror images are 1. The inauthentic forms of belonging bestowed upon women in patriarchy. That is, the prefabricated false collective identities offered to and foisted upon women as necessary and desirable. Oh shit, shots fired. 2. The patronizing, deceptive, and destructive forms of befriending bestowed upon women whose identities have been destroyed through belonging. Oh my God. 3. The feminizing of women thus befriended, and the stealing of our spiritual powers through false naming, which is typified in the epitaph bewitching as applied to a seductive woman. Damn. The boxes of inauthentic belonging. In order to comprehend how alienating and how potted the desire to belong can be, oh my God. In order to comprehend how alienating and how potted the desire to belong can be, it helps to recall some meanings of belong. These include, quote, to be suitable, appropriate, or advantageous, end quote. Quote, to be in a proper, rightful, or fitting place, situation, or connection, to be the property of a person or a thing. To belong also means to become attached or bond to as a person, group, or an organization. It means to be properly classified. Whales belong among the mammals. Needless to say, whales themselves probably are not interested in this classification. The potted passion of desire shrinks the longings of women to such a point that women actually long to belong in the senses defined above. Patriarchal women long to be appropriate, to be in a proper, rightful, and fitting place, and to be the property of a person or a thing. For example, in the institution of marriage. Women are afflicted with potted longings to become attached or bound to male-ordered society, and with potted desires to be properly classified. Oh my God. Yo, she is going off. Such boxed in belonging is a distorted set of mirror images of belonging, of the ontological yearning, which is pure lust. All of these mirror images are invitations to women to sacrifice our autonomous, wild selves for the sake of protection by the paternal protection racketeers. The protection racket requires a trade-off, the abandonment of belonging in return for apparent shelter and safety. Beaten into longing for belonging, women become needy and beg for befriending. The belittlement by befriending. Oh my God, y'all. Belittlement by befriending. Women whose identities have been shrunk by belonging are easy targets of belittling befriending. Befriend is defined as to act as a friend to, show kindness, sympathy, and understanding to, befriend a helpless person, quote, end quote. The frequently patronizing overtones of the word are betrayed by the example. I am not saying that befriending never has a genuine sense to be a friend. The point here is that the belittling befriending is the sort of charity bestowed upon women reduced to perceiving themselves as helpless. Okay? Women thus reduced have been boxed into belonging, long to be Women thus reduced, having been boxed into belonging, long to be befriended. The belittling befrienders, doctors, lawyers, merchants, chiefs, are only too willing to oblige. As fixed and distorted mirror image of befriending, the potted desire to be befriended fixes a woman into postures of passivity, reducing her to an unresisting object of phallic lust. Thus fixated upon being befriended, she is prevented from unfolding her powers of befriending. For befriending is radically active. When a woman has been separated from these active powers, she can safely be labeled bewitching. Bafflement by bewitchingness. Women who have been befriended by bores aspire to be bewitching. The following tamed and derivative definition of bewitch applies. Quote, to attract or please to such a degree as to take away all power of resistance or considered reservation. Oh my God. Did y'all hear the definition of bewitching? To attract or to please to such a degree as to take away all power of resistance or considered reservation, to enchant, charm, or fascinate. She bewitched King James no less than her first lover. That time honored privilege of saying foolish things in the grand manner which seems to have bewitched our gallant forefathers. End quote. Hags who remember the powers of hags who remember the powers of our forecrowns, conjured by such weird words as bewitch, enchant, charm, fascinate, will note the reversal in this definition. The women who belonged and were befriended by King James and the gallant forefathers indeed endured the privilege of saying foolish things. Feminized fembots, praised for playing the fool, are the favored playthings of the snools. Such feigned bewitching behavior is the pathetic mirror image of powers of bewitching, that is, ontological witching, the exercise of creative spiritual powers. The boxing of women into self-limiting longings for belonging, befriending, and bewitchingness is accomplished through devious devices. 4 such seductive strategies, which I first identified in Beyond God the Father, are depreciation, particularization, spiritualization, and universalization. I shall further elaborate that analysis here, as prompting additional shrewish insights in this context. Characteristically, these devices generate endless, vicious cycles, since the false needs which they spawn perpetuate the climate in which such tactics succeed. Okay? Depreciation. See what time it is. Depreciation. There are many devices available both to women and to men for refusing to see the problem of the sexual caste. One is asked, are you on that subject of women again when there are so many important problems like war and racism, pollution of the environment? One would think to hear that there is no connection between sexism and the rape of the third world, the rape of the black people, and the rape of the land and water. End quote. The tactic described above is depreciation. It is intended to make gynocide seem less important than the other atrocities of phallocracy. Come on, y'all. We hear it all the time. I heard it for years in the Black Power movement. You know, we can't really talk about misogyny and patriarchy because that's white people shit. And that what we have to do is we have to defeat and end white supremacy. And when we defeat and end white supremacy, imperialism, and colonialism, misogyny and patriarchy will just wither away. So we won't deal with your little women issues right now because the greater good is more important. I heard it for years. You hear me? And if you have the audacity to raise issues that were peculiar to being both black and female, then you are being divisive. You see. The device of depreciation basically is the deceptive minimalizing of gynocide and the cutting down of women's hopes and ambitions. Feminists are well aware of the condoning of rape and woman battering that prevails in patriarchy. Less obvious is the disparagement of our powers and aspirations and the seduction of women into cooperation in this self-belittling. One essential area targeted by such disparagement is women's intellectuality, to such an extent that this very word is heard as threatening by some women, even by feminists. This belittling of women's intellects, probably more than any other form of disparagement, undermines female hope and courage. It spawns potted desires to belong, and it breeds potted hopes for befriending and bewitchingness. Deprived of trust in her own mind, the courage of her own convictions, a woman is rendered helplessly passive and filled with self-loathing. Goddamn. She is grateful for the privilege of saying foolish things, for praising the butchers and boors who have befriended her. God damn. God damn. Child, look. The taboo against female intellectual courage is at the core of the terrible taboo against women touching women. Women are duped into discouraging the development of intellectuality in each other and even in the name of feminism. Since intellectuality in the fullest sense implies knowing one's own mind, the deprecation of a woman's intellectuality affects all aspects of her life, shrinking her physical and emotional energy, narrowing her sights. A woman thus depreciated, discouraged feels spooked because she senses that there is a conspiracy to keep her in line. If a woman has chosen to become a feminist, she has made a choice to be for women, to be loyal to women, and therefore she has become a member of a cognitive and effective minority. It is well known that a cognitive minority of one has only a slim chance of survival. Oh my God. In the case of a sincere feminist, since cognitive deviance is combined with effective deviance, the vulnerability of her situation increases exponentially. By bonding with women, she makes an implicit decision to trust women in defiance of the folk wisdom passed on by patriarchal daughters, which admonishes us to never trust a woman. Whew. In a special way, she has let down her defenses in her relationships with women. She has not been prepared to confront the residues of the patriarchal patterns that can surface unexpectedly in an astonishing variety of shapes, including the belittling of a woman's own intellects. By becoming a feminist, she has placed herself more acutely at risk in relation to the most insidious weapons of the fixers, the woman depreciating in beds in the female psyche itself. God damn. Yet, having understood the scope of the states of atrocity, she cannot, without the sacrifice of her integrity, consciously turn back. Oh my God. A possible reaction in the face of such a life-threatening situation, however, is self-censorship, which can take many forms. These range from conforming to the prevailing dress code, after all, this is only a matter of style, to conforming to prevailing codes of speech, behavior, and innermost thought. This conformity can involve complicity in the mechanisms of patriarchalization. Y'all, I'm through. I am too through. I am too through. Oh. Child, I am vindicated. God damn. Listen. A possible reaction in the face of such life-threatening situations, however, is self-censorship, which can take many forms. These range from confronting the prevailing dress code. These range from conforming to the prevailing dress code. After all, this is only a matter of style. To conforming to the prevailing codes of speech, child, behavior, and innermost thought. This conformity can involve complicity in the mechanisms of particularization, paternal pricking and prodding of women commonly employs the device of particularization. Another way of refusing, and this is the meaning of particularization, quote, another way of refusing to see the oppression of women is particularization. For instance, one hears, quote, oh, that's a Catholic problem. The Catholic Church is so medieval, end quote. One would imagine, to listen to this, that there is no patriarchy anywhere else, end quote. The self-censorship that is a byproduct of the depreciation of women's oppression often takes the form of cooperation in particularization. Women have a gut understanding of the enormous risks involved in seeing philocracy in all of its ramifications. When this terrifying knowledge of risk is combined with not seeing the ecstatic experience that is the other side of exorcism of philocracy, a woman can fall into patterns of particularization. For example, by narrowing the scope of her vision to a single issue. God damn. Why do I feel like I'm being spanked right now? Why do I feel like I'm being knocked upside the motherfucking head right now? Damn. The issue may be extremely important in and of itself, but if it is not seen in the context as interconnected with all gynocidal atrocities, it cannot really be seen. Also, if focusing upon combating an atrocity becomes so consuming an occupation that moments of spinning are diminished, this loss of ecstatic vision will hinder the process of metamorphosis, weakening the effectiveness in relation even to the particular issue itself. Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Listen, y'all. Listen. She say, because we understand the inherent threat to our life, the inherent threat to our safety, the inherent threat to our sovereignty, to our beingness, just for being in full self. Sometimes to protect ourselves from these risks, that are etched in our fucking blood as tormentous memories. God damn it. Oh, she says what we do is we don't want to go too hard. We don't want to go too deep. So what we'll do, instead of facing the big picture, we make smaller our mission. We condense our vision. Then we fixate to the point of hyperfixation on a singular issue. She said that. I felt that. I've done that. I do that. Building the temple of evolutionary emergence. Believing the background residual noise of patriarchy in my fucking brain. That's too big. What you trying to do? What you're trying to create, that's too big for you. Just condense, just make it a little smaller. Make it more realistic. It's too idealistic what you're trying to do. It's too big. And then I'm like, oh damn, maybe it is too big. Maybe we'll just do this instead. She said it. Then we'll fixate on a single issue, a singular issue. And in the diminishing of our vision, what else she say? Once we do this hyper focusing, you understand, that basically makes it so that when we fail or we do not honor the interconnectedness of the gynocidal atrocities committed against all humans. When women are brutalized, the whole of humanity suffers. She's saying that our torment, that the things that fucking plague the whole planet, what did she say? The things are interconnected. There are no singular issues. There is one issue, making right all that has been made wrong, and to do that through the end of the gynocidal atrocities against women. Who are the fates in real time, the fates in the material world, the fates in the flesh, having the ability to transform the environment and at the same time be transformed by those transformations that we made. Listen, and she said, if we lose sight of that, if we get to the point where we're constantly focusing on combating a single atrocity and become so consumed in this occupation that we lose ourselves. What did she say? We lose those moments of spinning, the creativity. Because what did she say earlier? The fates weave destiny through dancing and singing and journeying and visioning. That's how they create the fucking future. That is how they slow time. That is how they can move through multiple dimensions simultaneously. Is through dancing and singing and visioning and dreaming and journeying. And we get so hyper fixated as an attempt to protect ourselves, as a subconscious way to protect ourselves against internalized risk of us fully being, that if we neglect the creative process of creating the future, the creative process of creating the future, the singing, the dancing, the dreaming, the journeying, the visioning, this loss of ecstatic vision will hinder the process of metamorphosis, weakening the effectiveness in relation even to the particular issue itself. You hear what I'm telling you? I hope I'm making it plain, because she's making it plain. She's making it plain. She's like, bitch, we have to change the world. And even as we are faced with the risks that come with changing the world, even as we are confronted with how the world has been thrust backwards into extraordinary barbarism, you understand? Even as we have to do this work, we cannot forget that it is the fates. It is the fates who are the weavers of all destiny. What did she just say? She said Zeus himself was afraid of the fates, that his life too was impacted by the fates. And the fear came from the fact that he could not control the fates. Do you understand? He could not control the fates. So when I tell you about a motherfucking movie called Shazam, and this boy child, this man child, is supposed to be the personification of Zeus and all of his power stolen from the fates. And in order to, quote, save the man's world, because he ain't trying to save the world, he's trying to save the personification of the man's world in this movie. Yes, he is. And in order to do that, he has to murder the fates. He has to murder the triple goddess. And here we is in this motherfucking book right here today. She's saying, even as this work may be intense, and even as the risk to your beingness are real, bitch, you better dance, you better sing, you better create. Listen, she said you better curse, you better have obnoxious behavior. That's what she said. She said, don't be conforming to their codes of speech, their codes of behavior, their sense of fashion and style, their fucking thought processes. She said, reject all that shit. If they say it's this way, you take the opposing position. That's what she said in this motherfucking book. That's why I was having a moment. Because I told y'all, I have been for a long, long time, for the sake of my family, for the sake of, fucking respectability politics. I'm even watching some of my favorite YouTube people, right? And how they have to self-censor. Isn't this what she's talking about right here? The self-censorship required to sustain your life. These motherfuckers got to self-censor if they want to get paid, if they want to pay their bills. They can't say fuck. They can't say motherfucker. They can't say shit damn goddamn. You feel me? And so for the longest time, I've been telling y'all, I was like, these motherfuckers ain't gonna monetize my goddamn page. I ain't gonna make no money on YouTube. You understand? I ain't gonna make no money on YouTube. And I really debated about that for a long time, even with the Temple Committee. I was like, damn, I keep going back and forward. You feel me? But Black people especially, Black women even more especially, have grown accustomed to having to code switch for protection, code switch to sustain, code switch so we can get a motherfucking job. Y'all ain't ask us to code switch when y'all had us enslaved out this bitch. But now we got the code switch to secure a bullshitting ass job that barely supports your life. You feel me? Black people have grown accustomed to softening the bass in our voice when we're in groups of white people, because the bass in our voice reminds them of their initial fear of the drum or what the fuck ever. Huh? Baby, she say, listen, if you're gonna fucking weave the future as a fate, because she says all women are the fates. Each woman is a fate. Do you understand? Having the ability to literally transform the material realm by speaking, by talking, by sounding the fuck off. You understand? And she say that shit, I'm like, I said for years, debated, asked people's opinion. Like my mama, she'd probably have an attitude if she watched my YouTube channel, because I cuss like a sailor. And I like, it's not that I just cuss. It's not that I'm being lazy in my articulations. Cussing is like the seasoning. It's like the Old Bay on boring ass languages. It's like the seasoning that you need to oomph the shit the fuck up. Okay? I like the way curse words roll the fuck up off my tongue. So for a long time, I had an issue. I was like, I really want to monetize my page. I don't think these motherfuckers gonna monetize my shit, because I don't think I've done a single live in 4 years that ain't got motherfucker in it or something. You feel me? Then this woman gonna say here, because we have deeply internalized the life-threatening situation that is to be she. That simply to be born she is a threat on your life. To be born she under the patriarchy is to be born with a target on your chest. And because we have deeply internalized that, our mothers have shown us that in the fear through which they raise us. Our mothers raise us in a chronic, constant state of fear because they know what it means to be born she. They know what it means in a patriarchal world to be born she. And in their fear for us, they become our imprisoners, our mothers. They become our suppressors, our mothers. Child, I ain't gonna preach a word, but I'm trying to tell you. She says, because we have it etched in our blood and our ancient memory, the life-threatening situation that is to be born she. That self-censorship is always, is always a consequence of this internalized fear. Self-censorship. You know, I'm always talking about how girl children learn very young how to become living origami. constantly folding in on ourselves and making ourselves smaller and quieter because we recognize that it does afford us a little bit of protection. We don't want to stand out because we don't want motherfuckers' sights set on us to do us harm under the guise of wanting to possess us. Child, look. She said, and that self-censorship takes many forms. Boring ass fashion decisions, having to button our top up all the way to the chest as to not arouse the men folk. Boring ass style and fashion, conforming to whatever in any given whim of any given man in any given position of power, conforming to his prevailing definitions of morals, speech, behavior, and even how to fucking think. We even conform our own thought processes, hoping that it'll keep us safe in an environment that has always shown us that as long as this shit is intact, we are never safe. She says, so fuck it. If you gonna be a weaving, spinning Webster fate, spinning the threads of fucking destiny through song and dance and visioning, dreaming, journeying, bitch, you better start breaking all the taboos. Curse in places where you have no business. God damn it. You understand? Show your titties. God damn it. Shake your ass on a motherfucking pole. God damn it. Break all the goddamn taboos. Because earlier in this book, way back in this book, when she talked about the definition of the word sin, S-I-N, the definition of the word sin, this shit is so insidious. The definition of the word sin, its Latin origin means to be, etymologically. To sin is to be. To be what? Well, according to Indo-European etymology, she is what it means, sin. She is. So what is sin? To be she is to sin. This is the original sin, to be born female. And she said, look, you being born female was the sin of your life. And if your beingness is a sin, that's why everything you do becomes a sin. That's why everything you do becomes up for discussion by anybody with an opinion. You are not afforded autonomy or sovereignty. Keep your motherfucking mouth shut when you're talking about me, bitch. You feel me? You aren't afforded sovereignty. You aren't afforded safety. You are up for vivisection by anybody who gives a goddamn to do so. And she said, damn, if your beingness in the world is the original sin, you might as well have the courage to sin on purpose. Kick the doors in on this bitch and break every goddamn taboo. Every single motherfucking one. I didn't intend to digress that much, but I got an attitude right now. Baby, she going the fuck in. She said, don't you ever narrow, minimize, reduce, or particularize your vision. You are the weaver of fucking fate. You are the weaver of time, child. Everyone's destiny is in the possession of women. Tell me I'm lying. Every single person on this planet, their destiny rests in the hands of women. This is the temple of evolutionary emergence. How can I say that every single entity on the face of the goddamn planet, their fucking destiny rests in the hands of women? Because every last motherfucking one came through the body of a woman. The temple of evolutionary emergence is the uterus. Why do I say it's the temple of evolutionary emergence? The uterus. It's called the lower palace in Chinese medicine. The uterus. This magical vessel, this magical instrument that sets us apart from all that is. Not just we women, every female mammal. Not just every female mammal. Female reptiles who shed eggs from their bodies. It is what defines what it is to be goddess in the material realm. And anybody who wants a spirit to have an experience that is peculiar and will never be replicated in all the aisles of time must come through must come through us. We are the weavers of destiny, goddammit. We are the fates. We are the fates. And so she's saying, get that bullshit out your head. This is the deconstruction phase, motherfucker. Look, call it decolonization if you want to. It's older than that. It's deeper than decolonization. It's deeper than that. And she said, whatever it is that is holding you back, whatever it is that is depreciating who you are and who you came here to be, get that shit out your head right now. Because, bitch, you have a world to transform. You have a future to create. You people have a destiny to weave together. How? Through singing and dancing and visioning and journeying and dreaming. This, what does she say? This is how destiny is spun from the Websters. Those women who weave through their imagining. This is why the effort has been so intense to encapsulate and compartmentalize and reduce and suppress and imprison the intellect of women, the creativity of women. How is this relevant to those of us who call ourselves activists? It happens so much. I have been an activist since I was 16 fucking years old. And the work becomes everything. The work becomes everything. I just want to change the world. I just want to, that we forget that the future will be danced into existence. The future that we say we want to create. You understand? The future that we say we want to create. Do we want to create a world where happiness is the fucking guaranteed foundation of everybody who incarnates on the planet? Is this the future that we want to create? We're not going to create it doing the same old, laborious, unjoyful shit. We're not. And she's saying, do not lose yourself in the narrative that exists in your subconscious mind, imposed on you primarily through fear, primarily through aggression and subjugation. Do not allow it to minimize the future that I have shown you, that you will participate in creating. This is who we are right now. This is what we're called to do right now. This is what we're called to do right now. Child, Mary got an attitude today. She came on in through here to issue out spankings, just in case you didn't realize. So I'm done with my digression. I will continue. Baby, but that last statement, I'm going to reread that last sentence. Also, if focusing upon combating a singular atrocity becomes so consuming an occupation that moments of spinning are diminished, this loss of ecstatic vision will hinder the process of metamorphosis, weakening the effectiveness in relation even to the particular issue itself. At certain times and places, for example, some women have focused upon the abortion issue. This can be seen as a microcosm of female oppression, since it is the autonomy of women that is the target of anti-abortionists. But if such an issue is not seen in a gynecological context, feminist activism that focuses within its circumscribed area begins to feel draining and even meaningless. For in truth, women's minds are starved of meaning for voyages of discovering new and ancient territories for self-creation. Come on in the room, y'all. Certainly one woman or group cannot do everything. Specialization and even a kind of functionalism are necessary, but the struggle is to see connection. But the struggle to see connections can be abandoned only at our own peril. Since it is precisely the act of seeing the context that is terrifying, the choice to focus upon a single issue can even function as an excuse for not seeing the context. Oh, God. Since feminism then becomes reduced to some particular issue, it becomes easy to dismiss as not sufficiently compelling or meaningful. Y'all, she is preaching today, okay? Female complicity in particularization, meaning exclusive focusing upon one tentacle of patriarchy, is itself a form of possession and obsession. Since such complicity implies self-enclosure within terms set by the patriarchs themselves, child, the activities it engenders become reactive, repetitive, and ritualistic. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. When the patriarchal given absorbs all attention and energy away from the project of living our transcendent now, oh my God, gynergy becomes contained by the Sado society and is converted into the simple reactive behavior patterns that it can anticipate and absorb. Oh, this can happen in various ways. Women working directly against such atrocities as rape and pornography, for example, are sometimes burnt out by the horrors they daily encounter. Come on, y'all, she is going the fuck off right now, okay? Are sometimes burnt out by the horrors they daily encounter and caught in the chain of reaction. In a different way, women working to create women's studies programs in universities whose essential agenda is the erasure of female being can also suffer burnout and be caught on wheels of reaction. Y'all. Oh my God. For in addition to the mental and emotional battering continually endured in such situations, there are subliminal seepages of gynergy under pressure to compose. Let's see. For in addition to the mental and emotional battering continually endured in such a situation, there are subliminal seepages of gynergy under pressure to compromise and water down. Yes. Yeah, there are subliminal, child, in these days, because this book was written in 1983, but these days, she says there are subliminal seepages of gynergy under pressure to compromise, but child, sometimes they ain't even subliminal. They are over, outright, oppressive pressure to compromise, to water down. Here the battle takes the form of shadowboxing. The bombardment with knowledge of physical atrocities is absent in academia. Instead, academic women are worn down by deception and by temptations to commit what Virginia Woolf called adultery of the brain, for example, by suppressing information in the name of objectivity. Goddamn. Women in academia are killed softly by his words, by the proliferation of oh my God. Oh my God. Man, listen. I'm not going to go off, but I want to tell you, I have something to say to you. This whole last week was so fucking extraordinary. So much happened in this last week, and I am perpetually being shown shit that is blowing my mind, y'all. Blowing my mind. Blowing my mind, y'all. So much has happened this week, and I'm going to have to do a second live while the shit is still fresh on my mind. But I have just had a moment. I have just had a moment in this reading about this week and something that happened. This shit is extraordinary, and I just hope y'all are ready. I hope y'all ready for this ride. We already own it. But I am telling you, come January 1st, I hope y'all ready. Because this year that we're in has been extraordinary. This year that we are leaping into is going to be radical beyond anything that we can imagine. And we have a decision to make about this year coming, baby. We cannot be riders on the train, baby. We have to be the fucking conductors on this bitch. I'm telling you, it's that deep. We cannot be passive riders on this train, or we will be driven into fucking madness. We will be driven into deeper and more profound despair. We have to be conducting and fucking directing this bitch. This year, baby, has the potential to change everything we've ever known and everything we've ever accepted as holy writ. This year coming. And baby, I have had a moment in this book, child. But I'm going to leave that for another live. Baby, she says, what Virginia Woolf called the adultery of the brain. For example, by suppressing information in the name of objectivity, God, oh my God. Women in academia are killed softly by his words, by the proliferation of bland and boring text. Yes, by the obligation always to return to elementary consciousness raising, a phallic objective achieved simply enough by the requirement that males be admitted to women's studies classes. Women's studies thus can serve the establishment of boredom, becoming an agency of anti-change and anti-metamorphosis. Oh my God. Thus conquered, it can do little to rescue women from the paternally prescribed program of belonging, befriending, and bewitchingness. Feminization 101. Universalization. Some people, especially academics, attempt to make the problem disappear by universalization. One frequently hears, quote, but isn't the real problem human liberation? Human liberation? The difficulty with this approach is that the words used by the true, but when used to avoid confronting the specific problems of sexism, they are radically untruthful. One still frequently hears the same wine line used to avoid confronting specific problems engendered by phallocracy and its agents. Universalization as a fallacy embedded in befriended ended women's thoughts translates into a variety of forms. One form is the notion that women must take on the responsibility for saving the human race. Holy shit. This is actually a very old, y'all, listen. Why Mary be pulling our hair, snatching teeth out our face, gut punching, kicking bitches in the uterus and shit. Y'all listen to this shit. Universalization as a fallacy embedded in befriended, ended women's thoughts translates into a variety of forms. One form is the notion that women must take on the responsibility for saving the human race. This is actually a very old patriarchal line, and it always implies an agenda of female acceptance of male leadership, mystical or moral or political. Implicit in this ideology is the assumption that women are equally, meaning primarily, to blame for every horror perpetrated by males. Oh, Ooh. Another way in which fallacious universalization expresses itself is through variations on the theme that as long as anyone or any woman is oppressed, all women are oppressed. Such statements are not without a core of truth, which is the fact of common bonds among all women. Indeed, this commonality is what makes possible feminist moral outrage on behalf of other women and the lust for a women's revolution. The fallacy lies in the implications often drawn from this universalizing, such as the notion that there is something wrong or selfish about being joyful. Oh my God, y'all. Oh my God, listen. She said, indeed, this commonality is what makes possible feminist moral outrage on behalf of other women and the lust for a women's revolution. The fallacy lies in the implications often drawn from this universalizing, such as the notion that there is something wrong or selfish about women being joyful or healthy or productive and creative, so long as any woman is still oppressed. Such a political dogma implies a grim and worse than puritanical, and even worse, puritanical ethics of joylessness, demanding self-denial and hatred of spinning. God, it works insidiously to coerce women into withholding from ourselves the hope of moving into metamorphospheres. It might be useful to experiment with rethinking this thesis of universalization. For example, one could say, quote, so long as any woman sheds the suffocating armor of alienation and unfolds her being in the process of spinning, there is hope that others can do so, end quote. It is not difficult to predict programmed reactions of protest to such a statement, which could be misread as an expression of indifference to the plight of less fortunate women. In fact, it expresses a leap, a hop of faith in the intuition that biophilia is contagious. Ugh. Child, that biophilia is contagious. Yes. Yes. Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes. Clearly, there are ineffable vast differences in the conditions through which women struggle towards metamorphosis. Yet there is no simple way of understanding the process. No one could successfully argue that Sojourner Truth, Harriet Tubman, or Helen Keller did not weave her own way into the metamorphospheres. Despite the conditions of slavery, racism, poverty, or multiple disabilities. To acknowledge these, come on through, girl, goddamn. To acknowledge these wonders is to not justify any form of phallocratic oppression. Rather, these exceptions signal the spinning capacities and achievements of countless unknown women. They are imitations that women under almost all conditions can and do experience. Moments of spinning. These moments radiate the gynergy to continue metamorphic movement. Without the creative exemplarity of such moments of spinning, women are prey to the deadening device of universalization. All that is specific to female experience and genius can then be shoveled under a rubbish heap of pseudo-generics. Our achievements are called human and praised and belittled as products of people at certain points in man's history. Come the fuck on through right now, goddamn it. Oh my God. Oh my God. She said our genius and our peculiar female experience can, under universalization, can be shoveled under the rubbish heap of pseudo-generics. Those pseudo-generics being our achievements as women then become they are our achievements are called human achievements and praised and belittled as products of the people at certain periods and points in man's history. Believing that they are persons first and not just women. Women befuddled by false universalization yearn to belong to thrusting throne that thrives on defacing and erasing and replacing female beingness. Yo. Spiritualization. This is the last part I'm going to read and then I'm going to be up out of here. Spiritualization. Reduced to such a state, women are ready for seduction by spiritualization. This is about to hurt somebody's feelings. I can already feel it in my spirit. This section right here is about to hurt. It's about to burst somebody's motherfucking spiritual balloon. It's about to fuck up somebody ayahuasca retreats. Oh yes, it's about to fuck somebody up. I can feel it coming. Reduced to such a state, women are ready for seduction by spiritualization. Spiritualization, quote, another related method of refusing to see is spiritualize. Refusing to see, y'all. Another method of refusing to see, y'all, is spiritualization. That is, refusal to look at concrete oppressive facts. For example, would-be pacifiers of women seem to be fond of quoting the Pauline text, which proclaims that, quote, in Christ there is neither male nor female, end quote. This invites the response that even if this were true, the fact is that everywhere else there certainly is. Moreover, given the concrete facts of social reality and given the fact that the Christian image is male, one has to ask what meaning content the passage possibly can have. What meaning the possible content of the passage can possibly have, end quote. Not only in Christianity, but in all of the patriarchal religions, one finds mazes of myths that legitimate the destruction of women and at the same time offer pseudo escapes from such devastation. Spiritualization moronizes. Oh my God, y'all. She said spiritualization turns women into morons. That's what she just said. Spiritualization turns women into morons. Oh my God. She said spiritualization moronizes by the use of thought-killing reversals. Spiritualization works, that is, it achieves its spectacular mind-mummifying results when accompanied by love bombing. Y'all, this book was written in 1983. Honey. In 1983, Mary Daly was clear about the function and the weapon called love bombing. We just getting hip to the game in 2023. Honey, she said in 1983, spiritualization works, that is, achieves its spectacular mind-mummifying results when accompanied by love bombing, a strategy recently identified and applied by the Moonies, but practiced for millennia by spiritual organizations. Love bombing has been described as follows. Constant, open affection directed towards a new recruit by the rest of the group, designed to overwhelm and frequently used when the recruit threatens to leave the cult. End quote. I am using the expression love bombing here in a wide sense. As practiced by Christians, for example, it is not reserved only for new recruits. Moreover, it is usually more subtle than the Mooney variety. Christian charity often implies very little open display of affection. However, it does involve a constant flow of rhetoric about love of God and the neighbor, a bombardment of verbiage which often replaces and displaces any signs or acts of genuine biophilic concern. Moreover, socialism and its byproduct, socialist feminism, appear often to be imitative of Christianity in this respect. Oh my God. Okay. Oh my God. Listen. So I have been threatening for a long time, maybe 4 years, y'all. But I need time. I keep telling y'all I need time. So until my resources, until my dividends line up in a way that supports time for me to do deep dives and to write and to do the things that I know I need to do, this is just what it is. But on my list of presentations to do is why I'm no longer a socialist. I have been talking about this and threatening to write this for a long time. You see, I have the red stars on my face. I was a socialist for 15, a practicing, functioning, identified socialist for 15 years. I was about that motherfucking life. You understand? And when I said out loud that socialism does not align with my vision of the future, and then I read The Great Cosmic Mother and understood why I was having this conflict in my spirit about this ideology that I had subscribed to for 15 years of my adult life. You understand? And here she is mentioning it again. Okay? She says, moreover, socialism and all its byproducts, especially socialist feminism, often appear to be imitative of Christianity in this respect. Love and concern for the oppressed. Oh my God, y'all, I'm having a whole ass moment. Love and concern. This shit is the essence of narcissism. So many women in these fucking organizations and these movements get caught up by narcissistic men, noble narcissists who get caught up because they hear men for the first time talking about, I love the people, I love Africa, I love my culture and the traditions of my ancestors, whoever that is, because Black folks ain't the only people guilty of that bullshit. You understand? And so women get caught up. They're like, damn, you know what I'm saying? I had to join the movement to find a man who was really about the future and about that life. You know what I'm saying? Here he talking about how he loved Africa and he loved African people, but he hates African women behind closed doors. And we be confused. Isn't this stereotypical narcissistic behavior? Noble narcissistic behavior where everybody in the world thinks this guy is awesome and radical. Look at all the great and wonderful work that he does in the world. So they can't possibly believe that he's a fucking maniac, a fucking abuser behind closed doors. And so we be quiet as women. We mute. We say nothing because we don't want to make the group look bad, because it's only women that make the group look bad. Be quiet, bitch, because if you say anything about what happened to you, you're going to make the group look bad. Shut your fucking mouth, bitch. Because if you say anything out loud about what this man did to you, you're going to make the group look bad. So we cower because we love our people. We cower because we love humans. And we don't want to make the group look bad. We don't want to be the bad guy making the group look bad by putting on, quote, airing our dirty laundry. Meanwhile, these men are conditioned from infancy. Christianity is the blueprint for narcissism. Every narcissism was born from Abrahamic traditions. Every single one. They learned from Jesus Christ what narcissism is. They learned from Muhammad what narcissism is. They learned from all the goddamn prophets and shit of the Old Testament what fucking noble narcissism is. They learned it from the tales that we tell them as their mothers from infancy about the great, benevolent, aloof, invisible, disconnected, Abrahamic God, some the fuck off in the distance, and all of his miniature mini-me's in the world. You understand? Abraham and Jacob and Noah and Moses and on and on and on. And all of these motherfuckers have created a perpetual. Why are there so many fucking narcissists in the world? Because Abrahamic tradition, they are the byproduct of Abrahamic traditions. They are the byproduct of Abrahamic traditions. Narcissism is not some innocent psychological fucking glitch in a person's fucking character. It is a weapon of oppression. It's a fucking weapon. It is a strategy that is used, same old way patriarchy has always used it, to suppress the emergence of women, to suppress the becoming of the divine she embodied in every single woman, baby. That's what it's for. And it also functions to leech, siphon out the energy and the essence and the power that has fueled the church. Do you know that 88% of the devout Catholics on the planet are women of color? Why the church need women if women ain't shit? Why the church needs so many motherfucking devout worshiping women if women ain't shit? If women were born evil? Because the church has siphoned the essence of the divine being, the divine she embodied in all these bodies of women to power up itself. Anyway. Damn. Anyway. Child, here she talking about love bombing and narcissism in 1983. Okay. She says love and concern for the oppressed then easily translates into love for oppression as the only morally acceptable state. Oh my God. Moronized by such moralism, women cannot move into metamorphospheres. We cannot evolve, baby. Not in them circumstances. And that's what it's for, to suppress evolution. That's what it's for, to suppress evolution. That's what ritual is for, is to suppress evolution. That's what routine is for, is to suppress evolution. That is what marriage is for, is to suppress evolution. I'm just going to tell you what it is. Yeah, until we redefine love, until we redefine marriage, until we redefined intimacy, the way that it exists now, it's all to prevent the evolution of the divine she. It's to ensure that the mother never reemerges. That's real. Anyway, moronized by such moralism, women cannot move into metamorphospheres. Indeed, this realm of possibilities is spiritualized, vaporized out of the imagination before it can even begin to unfold. Yo. Oh! Who? She said, indeed, this realm of possibilities. What are the possibilities? The power inherent in the weavers of the webs of fate and destiny. Huh? She said this realm of possibilities is spiritualized, vaporized out of the imagination before it can even begin to unfold. Lord, have mercy. Since women are spiritually starved within the snooldom, it does not take much to denote the love bombing effect. It does not take much to detonate the love bombing effect. Y'all ain't hearing, man. Y'all ain't hearing what the hell is happening right now. She says, since women are spiritually starved within the Sado state of patriarchy, child, it does not take much to detonate the love bombing effect. One need only think of the institutions of courtship and romantic love, the seduction and enslavement of young girls by pimps, the emotional manipulation that is the work of therapists and priests. In all cases, that which is bombed is autonomy that is essential for biophilic growth and change. In the various forms of love bombing, the love that is lavished and or withheld is made to appear the ultimate fulfillment. As Denise Connors explains it, this desired commodity is a substitute for how it would feel to be autonomously creative. Since the women, thus victimized, are out of touch with the experience of creativity, this substitute commodity is craved and accepted. In this sense, this device works. Oh my God. Entry into the realm of metamorphosis spheres then is thwarted by the infliction of a condition which appears to be love starvation, but which is in reality lust starvation, the denial and blockage of pure lust. Thus, lust-starved women become lackeys to the lecherous lacklusters, dead-ended, befriended, possessed by an itch to bewitch. Lacklusting women are unaware that they have nothing to lose. Oh my God. The process of overcoming the effects of spiritualization and love bombing, which is a process of losing nothing. Child, listen, she said, we have nothing to lose. Consider all that you have and given the society and the fucking horrible impact it has had on every creature on earth. We have nothing to lose. Ooh. Oh my God. The process of overcoming the effects of spiritualization and love bombing, which is a process of losing nothing, is essential to metamorphic movement. It is necessary now to consider some views of such movement. Yes, come on, Mary. Yes, come on, Mary. Y'all better shout her. She in the ancestral realm now, but y'all better shout her out. Come on now. Because she did this. She knew we would be here in this moment. Even if she did not consciously know it, she wrote because she knew. She saw the future. She knew in this moment what she was weaving was the future. Yes, she did. She did that. Theories. Okay, I'm going to stop. It's 3:27. I got to get ready for work. I'm going to stop now. Okay? So tomorrow we will continue with the reading of Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy by Mary Daly. We are ending on page 327. We'll be picking back up with theories of metamorphic movement. For those of you who tuned in late or throughout, my name is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates. We are reading the book, and have been for several weeks now, Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy by Mary Daly. If you don't got it, get it. Get your life right. You feel me? Get your life right. Because after we complete the reading of this book, which I will do, I will be successful in before this year's end. That is what we will be doing. We will be reading this book as often as possible until this book is completed, because we're going to start the new year, the first week in January, with the book club of Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy. So we got to get ready for that, because just as much as I talked to y'all during the reading of this book, we about to go in on this book. We about to dissect this whole book with a fine-tooth comb. We are going to emerge the keepers of a whole new language after this book club. Like, baby, we're going to be out here ready to set this shit the fuck off. So just in case you didn't know, that's what the book clubs be about around here. The last book club we did was the seed of the formation of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, our religious 501c3. Started from the book club of the Great Cosmic Mother. So the mothers are up in here. They got an attitude. They are ready to put in this work, and we have to comply. And this is what compliance looks like. So, yes, this was awesome. This was a whole word for today. It was a whole necessary burst of energy that I needed. And I will see you guys tomorrow. I don't know what time. I'm going to do the same thing I did today, because my time is real wonky right now since I picked up the second job. So whenever I feel moved to, I will just do a big, alert like I did, and y'all can come on up in here, you feel me, and get in on this word. So sometime tomorrow, sometime before 4 tomorrow, I will do another read of Pure Lust, Elemental Feminist Philosophy. In the meantime, this is Cassandra Floyd, daughter of the Fates, also known as Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, and I will see you tomorrow.